Welcome back to the No Rep podcast. I'm today with Danny and Evan. And how are you? Evan's a bit hungover today, guys.
Rough as toast.
Smelling a wee bit. Yeah.
A couple of shandies turned into quite a few shandies. But the wombats are good, by the way. Shout out wombats.
I know. They're actually our guests today. You know that?
They're coming in.
They're not.
Nah, I'm good, man.
Aye. Good. How about you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm really good. I'm not rough.
Not rough. For a change.
For a change, aye.
For a change. It is also a Wednesday when we're recording this. Going out on a school night, man. That's crazy. Crazy behavior. I've not done that in a fucking long time.
I know. There's something magical about drinking midweek, but I don't know.
It's like knowing that you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
So that makes it all the more exciting. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
I was about to make a rude joke there, but I get into trouble for making rude jokes apparently these days.
Jordan says a lot of bad things.
I know, we need to edit a lot of things out.
It's going to become a new part. We can maybe release that on like OnlyFans. Like
The explicit version.
unedited version. What we talking about today? I forgot. I just looked at it on my phone.
Podcast of the year. So we were kind of chatting in the car and stuff about like knowing what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? So like applicable to fitness, to career or whatever. So we're just gonna kind of talk about, I suppose, a bit about us,
That's it.
the journey or whatever, if you want, and just kind of ideas with in and around that. My brain's don't give me the speaking stick today. I'm like,
I get it.
Speaking stick.
So I mean, we did this in the first ever episode we ever done, which hasn't actually been released. We kind of spoke almost a little bit about that, didn't we? Like where we started and how we got there. On the first episode we actually released, we really kind of skimmed over, but I guess we can kind of flesh that out a wee bit and actually go through like.
No, you know, it's a wee bit better, guys. You can find out stuff out.
Find out a wee bit more. Find out some
you won't
secrets.
judge us as much for it now because you know who we are.
I know. I mean, see, after the poo story, like
That's true.
That got quite intimate.
Danny loves talking about his poo.
Did
I mean, we can talk about his foreskin next if you want.
Lack of.
Oh no!
Do we need to edit that out? I tell you what, I'll chuck you under the bus. Why don't you give us a little bit of insight to like how you found yourself? I mean, because I'm assuming we're all sitting here because we enjoy what we do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think I can speak for everyone here. Like we all enjoy what we do. We're able to fucking dick about in the middle of a Wednesday afternoon, morning, and go and record a podcast and stuff like that. There's not very many jobs.
Yeah.
I say that in inverted commas, jobs that allow you to do that. So we're all in a not lucky because we created it, but we're all in a fortunate position that we actually enjoy what we do, but it's not always been like that.
No. It's never. So I'm going to kind of go back and forward here, right? I was maybe at 18 and a bit.
Back in Nam.
It was the summer of 64.
When I knew I wanted to be a personal trainer, right? So it's been a long time.
Right.
I've knew. Before that, it was just like left school. I wanted to be a Sparky, I think. Picked maths and like physics. Realised I couldn't math and I couldn't physics.
I could
Can't English either.
Bad choices. And I was like, I'm just got to be a talent exhaust fitter. That'll do me, man. I love Fast and Furious, so I was like, right, but I can tell I'm going to be Paul Walker. And then that didn't happen. Then I was back.
Shout Paul Walker.
Shout Paul Walker, right? Different jobs. Then realised, right, PT when I was about 18, and that was it. Went to college, all the rest of it.
All right, so you did. Even though you did a few roundabout jobs like PT, you've probably maybe been the PT at the longest of all of us then.
Yeah.
Right. Got you.
And then. Which was great. So it was like from 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, right up until I was 28. I was certain that it was coaching, and I didn't even for a second have another thought. It was like, that is it. I'll be in the fitness industry, a PT, full stop. And then shit happened, and I basically was like, right, I am no longer going to be a PT. That is me done, right? So I stopped it, gave up, moved away. Came back and I was like, right, I'm not getting in the industry again. I'm done, mate. Like, I'm going to be an actor and all that. Right?
Fuck yeah.
No, and I was like, I'm going to be an actor. That is it. And that's because when you go through some shit, your mind does some of the maddest stuff ever, man. And you get ideas that you think are right, but they're no. And you think it's the right thing to do and all that. And you're making decisions out of a place of kind of like I don't know if you call it desperation in a way, depression in a way, but no physical depression, but like in that way, that's where you're at in your mind. So you make choices that you think are right, you think are going to be the best thing for you, but to the outside, people are probably like, that's a fucking wild choice. How did you get from PT to fucking that, right? In my mind, but I'm like, that's it. That's the only thing I would like to do apart from coaching, right? So it just made sense. And great actor, by the way. And
good owl voice.
Good owl voice, which I'll get to in a second. And so there's a point I'm getting somewhere with this, right? So I ended up, I done fucking like short films, and I was an extra in Succession, porn, and all this stuff, right? So I've done
a black couch.
Literally, man. Done loads of stuff. But I was feeling less fulfilled, is when I'm getting to, as the months were going on. As the months were going on, I was feeling less fulfilled. I was feeling lost. I felt like I didn't have a purpose, because acting was just something that I liked. It obviously was not meant to be something that I was meant to do for the rest of my life, because I didn't get that same feeling as I got with coaching, but I still was in denial of like, I should be a coach. I was in complete denial. So I just continued to feel completely like unfulfilled with life, man, when I done acting. And then I started changing who I was and stuff like that. And this is an owl video came about when I get a message from an agent. It was like, there's a cartoon getting made and they need a Scottish owl.
Can we play the owl video?
Fucking do it. Play it.
Can you be a Scottish owl? Can you record us reading a children's book, a passage out of a children's book, and send me it across? So at this point in time, my mind's not right? So I'm thinking I need to change who I am. I can't be Danny from fucking south side of Glasgow. I need to be Daniel from the south side of Glasgow. I'm 29. So completely changed how I fucking spoke and all that, just to like, because I thought that's what I had to do at the time, and just try and fit in. Right. I wasn't being authentically myself, and that comes on to a point. You need to be authentically who you are in any situation, any point in life. Simple as that. But I kind of lost myself a wee bit, so I wasn't. And I think Evan's maybe scrolling through to find it. I'll keep talking until he finds it.
Danny, there's so many videos that you sent me.
Do you know what's funny is that obviously you going through like all these fucking weird like roundabout ways to try and find out who you were, it ultimately led you back to what you initially 100%. Chose. Like you kind of came full circle, sort of thing.
And it's, do you know, without sounding like a pure tit, I'm so passionate about the industry because I'm obsessed with myself. So I read about it all the time without anybody asking me. I just read about it all the time. I'm reading articles, or I'm watching this, or I'm researching this, I'm trying this myself, I try stuff, and I'm just obsessed with it. So see, when 2 years being out the industry, or however long I was kind of out it was like almost like, what is it I care about? What is it I do on a daily basis? I help people all the time. I help my family, they ask me questions. I love helping people. I love answering this. I love doing this. And then it was almost like kind of Evan was the one that sparked to kind of the idea of like, right, actually, Danny, let's be fucking honest, you're running away for something else. You're not running away for PT, mate. That's what you're meant to do. You're a good coach, or the rest of it. And it was almost just like the conversation I had to have. And do you know, genuinely, with the very first night after the conversation, I felt more fulfilled than I'd felt in 2 years, just because I was working on online coaching and I was working in setting systems in place. And because I knew I was getting back into industry and I knew that was my path again, within about fucking 5 years, I felt like a different person. I felt for 2 years. It's mad, right?
And that was just because clarity,
so total clarity. So when you truly find something that you're meant to be doing, it doesn't matter what happens as well. You're just that. You feel you just feel fulfilled, you feel happier, you feel you get more purpose. And I feel like for a lot of us, I know people are lost in life a wee bit, and a lot of it will probably be because they're maybe not doing something that they're truly passionate about and are truly made today.
Have you got
and
that?
Here comes the video.
Have you got that shit?
Does I show it to the camera, or should we just listen to it?
Put it to Mike, because then they can...
My name is Daniel. I am 29 from the south side of Glasgow. Represented by Mad Dog 2020.
Mad Dog.
I'm going to read you a little short passage from a children's novel.
Listen to me, I'm talking, man.
One Easter, she was nestled beside two eggs. The little rabbit was soft and white.
I can't
Holy shit! Do you know what's class, man? Do you know what I love about that? What I love about your story is the fact that Well, that is hilarious, but you're able to share that because there's so many people and share it on the podcast, which is
I
the
know.
number one podcast in the world,
Yeah,
by the way.
it's-
So lots of people are going to see that or
Worldwide.
hear that. And the fact that you're able to share that and feel comfortable and confident enough to share like your past,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
mistakes, fuck ups, whatever it may be, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, man, that was a fucked up time, but it cracks me up. I don't, you know where the fuck did I get a children's book?
I know, mate.
I don't read them. Like, I stopped reading
Oh,
when I
you
was
say I
about
don't
25.
have a children?
I don't have a children, but I stopped reading when I was about 25, so like it's been ages. But the point I'm going to kind of finish on is make fucking mistakes. Try different things. Like if you're unhappy with what you're doing, is scary. Like you can say, oh, it's fine for you. Like no, I had a car, I had this, I had that, I had responsibilities. Like I kind of stopped.
Mhm.
And because I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to stop. I'm going to move on. And I did, and I tried other things, and it took me back to where I'm going to be. So I guess if you feel you don't know kind of where you're going with stuff, you don't know what you're meant to do or whatever, just try everything. Try different things. Speak to your mates. Just see what maybe is out there. Do you know what I mean? And maybe again, I've said it before. Maybe if it needs to be, you need to try stuff on the weekend because you can't just give up your job. Do you know what I mean? Because you need money. Like. And I think the more you try and the more you do, the more you start to get clarity on what you're meant to do and where you're meant to go with shit, I would say. For me anyway, that's how I done it, and I'm glad I did.
Good share, man.
No, that's awesome. It was very, very. I mean, obviously you've heard this story probably lots. I've heard it a couple of times now. It never fails to crack me up, but there's always something that's fucking really, really good that you can take from that, and it's quite motivating to hear. But you kind of fell into this by mistake as well, didn't you?
Into podcasting.
Not in a podcast. Oh, that was
I was
also by
forced to
mistake. You were
podcast. I'm so
actually-
happy that we started.
I did force you into this, but no, you kind of fell into the industry a little bit by mistake as well, from what I believe.
Yeah,
you told me.
totally. So, I think, well, like many people, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. Did not have a Scooby. I knew that I liked exercise, and I knew, and I played sport and whatever. So, the kind of natural thing was I'm going to go to college to do sport. It
Yeah.
wasn't even fitness. It was just sport.
That was the same
right?
as me, yeah.
And the closest, so I'm from Dunoon, so
Dunoon.
And,
Pink Panther, not
I know,
Batman.
not Batman. So the closest like college to me is down in Largs. So I was having to travel from actually outside Dunoon down, get a ferry across, bus down to Largs, and it was a porta cabin. It was the Sports
So
Scotland
you got a
Centre
ferry to college.
to college and to school
And to
actually
school.
for many, many years.
I think that's fucking bonkers.
It's mad. It's absolutely mad. But so went to sports college down in Largs. I didn't get the grades in school to go into HNC, so I had to go like, through a kind of pathway course or whatever.
Like NQ vibes, all that.
NQ
sort of-
vibes, and it
right,
was
I was
like,
the same myself.
I was a little bit older, so I spent a couple of years just lifing and stuff. So I was in there with like folk that are like 15, 16, or maybe not 15, but 16, pure not caring at all. And I'm like, guys, come on, quiet down. Like, I'm trying to learn here, please. Like,
the old geezer in class.
aye. And see, the thing is, see, like how you do, what's the saying? How you do anything's how you do everything, or whatever.
Yes, aye.
So I was spending my whole day traveling to go down to Largs to learn. Right, I didn't know what the fuck about. There's people that are impacting my learning and stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's a story for another time. So eventually kind of progressed on to HNC, HND, and as part of that, they gave me my PT qualification for free, right? Which is a couple of grand for it, isn't it? So I was like, yes, dynamite. I'm going to do PT. I'm going to go to uni because I want to be a sports scientist eventually, right? That's where I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to be in the lab. I want to get people stronger and faster and whatever. And then the more I done uni and stuff, I was like, I do not want to do this. Like, it's not my vibe. I think the kind of S&C sports science industry and stuff is very difficult to crack as well. So,
do you think because you'd been a coach for about 3 years before you finished finished with your uni, that was like, you're lucky, you're glad you did, so you're glad you're in that, because you wouldn't have probably realised
110%. Because when I got my qualification from, I actually don't even have like a certificate. Like, I don't, you know how you like see if we are going for like insurance, a bit of paper, and I don't have that, so I could literally just be kidding on. I could be a fake.
I've never seen graduation pictures.
No. But when I got my qualification, I chucked my job. I was working with Vodafone at the time, and then it was just going to help me to to kind of go through uni. But I'm so glad that I kind of made the jump in to get into PT and stuff. And see, to be quite honest, so I've been doing this for like what, 7, 8 years or something now. Like, I didn't start taking it serious till like year 5. It was just very much like people would just give me cash to watch them deadlift for a little bit of time, and that's, do you know what I mean?
That's what you did,
Yeah. So
But I
it
think
was just a job. It wasn't your passion.
Aye, but
Yeah.
see, at that point in industry, you didn't really. I don't know if it was maybe just, but not necessarily the industry. Maybe just the people who were surrounded by. You kind of thought there wasn't much more than that to give.
Mhm.
Do you know? Think like back then, you just kind of thought that was it.
Totally. The industry as a whole has leveled the fuck up
Yeah.
I would
Over
say
the past-
because of COVID.
because of COVID. Oh
yeah.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The online coaching space is, well, there was one obviously, but it's like it's on steroids now.
Aye, it's mad.
Ridiculous,
Much like
and that's a
many of
good
the
thing
coaches.
because
It
it's
is.
benefited all of us obviously, but it's benefited the industry as a whole, which is dynamite.
Yep.
So I finished uni. I got a first class.
That's well done.
Humble brag.
That's
right?
it. Humble brag from NQ to first class.
From NQ to first class,
Not
right?
bad, mate.
I contributed, but I need to say that.
Yeah.
I was a test.
He was a test. He was a
So-
test subject.
Is that
It was
right?
always,
Ah, it was
Yeah.
obviously working with the Daniel.
Do you know what I mean?
Mulholland.
They seen that, mate.
the south side owl.
Aye. My name is
But
Daniel.
basically, so I kind of went from I don't know what I wanted to do to, right, I'm actually going to make a go of this kind of fitness thing. And I think the kind of point that I'm kind of slowly getting at is you start doing something, you kind of figure it out on the way. You know, I think if there's anything in your life that you're unhappy about, don't just accept it.
No.
Like, you know, you need to kind of just figure out the things as you go, like learn by doing. And then it's like literally, if COVID hadn't happened, so in a kind of a roundabout way, I'm quite glad that COVID happened, because what COVID did was it made us do things that we were uncomfortable doing, right? So if you look, even if you look back at my Instagram 2 years, right, I wouldn't speak to the camera. I didn't have any like branding or graphics, whatever. It was literally just me playing rugby and pictures of my dog and cats and stuff, right? But it taught us to be uncomfortable and to put yourselves out there and to level up, basically.
Yeah.
And then there's been that transition over the past 2 years of kind of, I suppose, kind of carving out our own spaces in the industry, or very small in the grand scheme of things, but it's ours, and we've kind of, everybody's kind of worked hard. Like a lot of coaches and stuff have done really, really well over the past 2 years.
Yep.
I think so.
It's
I think
dynamite.
so.
And I think like it almost made us, we had to quickly think, right, how do we provide value now if we're not sitting right in front of somebody? And that was it. And it made people, like the early days, people obviously started it like, okay, well, how the fuck do we do it then? And everyone just obviously kind of started finding ways to provide more value. But the best thing to happen, because people do get more value now if you're a coach than you ever did 3 years ago. Ever.
Totally.
Ever.
Totally.
So, yeah.
And what was I going to say there? It's literally overnight, we all had businesses, and then you now no longer have a business. So it was just kind of pivoting
Aye.
at that point.
Totally.
Yeah, but that's kind of brings me to now. Like,
Brings you to here.
brings me to podcast.
Taking over the
But
world.
this is the thing, because there's so many things that I've said in life, right? That I'll, like, kind of talking business wise, I'll never do that. Right? I said I would never have my top off on my Instagram. I would never speak to the camera. I actually said I would never coach people online.
Really?
Yeah.
What made you say the thing like those, like, I'll never do this, I'll never do that? Why would you say, why was that conversation to yourself, I never?
See, to be quite honest, probably coming from a place of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being judged, fear of being criticised, all of these things.
That's huge.
And it's natural to feel that way. Like, but then when you lean into that discomfort, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
So see, if I hadn't done those things, I wouldn't be where I am now in terms of business. Probably it would have impacted other areas of my life as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Do
totally.
you know what I mean?
Totally.
So relationships and all these other things.
Yeah.
See, from like the outside point of view and being a friend and seeing the way you were before COVID to what you were like when COVID hit, it's like two different people. So like he's grew. That more than anything, it's you that's grew. Not like everything you've learned, but you've actually grew. So I remember like you were very much like, this is how I want shit to be. I don't want it to change, and it's just going to stay this way forever. To then all of a sudden you were like, actually, there's probably more that I could be doing myself. And then you did. You started taking care of your health, more care of your like, fitness, your business, and then you leveled up, man, and you became the that we've got sitting here today. With the beard?
with the beard. At one point I didn't have a beard, and it's we'll get a picture up for you.
I don't know if I've ever known you without a beard.
It's the most
I don't
honourable
think
thing in the world.
I don't think I've ever known you back in the GHK days. I think you'd always had something facial.
I look like a weird man baby, like with a really weak chin. Like it's odd. You're like, you look at me like something's wrong with this.
I don't think I'd recognise you with a beard.
Have you ever seen like videos when it's like the dad's always had a beard, the baby's always seen the dad. The dad goes in and shaves and come back out.
The baby
First time I seen him, I was like, I started greeting and all that. Like, don't know what to do.
No, I think I've quite similar to you, Evan. I've always been torn like between what I want to do and what I feel like I should be doing, or what I've been told to do, if that makes sense. So, you know, kind of growing up, I've always wanted to, you know, get a good job or drive a nice car, have a nice house. How do you get that? Or you go to school, you go to uni, you follow that kind of normal progression. Part of me wanted to do that, but then at every stage as I went to do that, I've just said no. So I've almost said like no at every turn. So went to college, did it, got some qualifications, but then didn't finish it, left. Got a job, had a job, built up, left. Found another, like, and at each stage I thought, right, this is what I want to do. I'd go all in, and then I'd find out this is quickly not for me. Then the kind of straw that broke the camel's back is when I was working at, not my last job, but the job before. I fucking hated it, man. Like, really, really hated it. If anybody's listening, I don't know why they would from back then, but I didn't like the place.
Is there a shout out coming?
There's there's not a shout out coming.
A reverse shout out?
A reverse shout out. But I just didn't like it, and it probably wasn't down to them. I mean, it might have been, but it was more so I could have been anywhere and I wouldn't have been enjoying it. So I slowly but surely started making my way back into the fitness space after like doing it in college and stuff like that. And it's again similar to you, Danny, where it's something that I would just research and watch YouTube videos and like be a part of it without being a part of it. Like, and it was always like my dream to actually do it. But I thought, nah, that's not where the money is, or that's not where a future is. Like, you need to have a job and you need to like have security and all these sorts of things. And I thought, right, okay, well, I can get a job in a gym. That's like two worlds colliding. And then again, once I got that, I loved it. It was great. But it just wasn't like it for me. And I knew the whole time, like, what I truly wanted to do was this. Like, this is what I wanted to do. But I just kept holding myself back, whether that be the things that I was telling myself, the things that others were telling me, oh, you need a job of security, like whatever, holidays, like, you know what I mean? Like being a self-employed personal trainer, there's all these risks. There's lots and lots of risks. But as you said, like when you step into the space where those risks are, that's truly where the magic happens. Like you said it you said it best there. And for me, it has ultimately been the best thing I've ever done. And I actually am frustrated with myself that I didn't make that plunge back in like 2012 and start then, because where could I have been now? Do you know what I mean? Exactly. If I did start back then, but ultimately I'm more fulfilled now because I maybe value it more. Yeah. Like I value that I've went through those lessons and I went through those other previous jobs and previous spaces to actually find out truly what I want. And
that's it. People
could be listening right now and they could be in doing something that they hate and they don't like. That's okay. Like, I feel like you're meant to almost go through that. You're meant to go through the shit and go through the mud and kind of figure out, like, I don't like this, I don't like that. And it doesn't really matter what age you are either. Yeah. You'd probably be in your 40s or your 50s and still be like, oh.
Like Danny.
I like Danny. Like, it doesn't really, age is almost, like, it's hard for a young person to go out and say, oh, age doesn't really matter. But it actually doesn't. Like, you could be any age, and if there's something out there that you truly want to do, you can do it. Like right now, we're obviously doing this podcast thing. A year or two ago, it would have been like an afterthought. Now, like posting YouTube videos, so that sort of stuff. Like back in 2012 when I was watching, like we spoke about the Zeuses of the world. If you can remember that, you're an OG fan, right? If you remember that comment. Like,
no, it's Zeus.
Talking about that, like, and just thinking like, oh, I would have loved to have started a YouTube channel back then, but then, oh, we've started one now, and it's like, no, I now understand the value of it. Do you know what I mean? So it's been a bit of a wild path for everyone.
Yeah,
here I think, but
it really has, man.
There's going to be people listening that are stuck. There's going to be people that are like in a position where they're not happy with their life, whether it be their job, their relationship, their fitness. Like, what would be the first step for somebody that is like, I just don't like where I'm at? As a whole, right? What would be the first step for you, do you think, to kind of get rid of that?
Try and identify what the kind of grand vision is for you. So ideally, what you want your situation, your world to look like, not just in terms of maybe job, but let's look at energy, look at health, look at the various different optics or whatever, and then kind of work back from there.
Yes, I was actually going to go on to that. Absolutely.
Yeah, because see, when you kind of reverse engineer it from there, you can then kind of implement kind of logical steps to get you there. And obviously, like, it takes a bit of time, but see, the thing is, the time's going to pass anyway.
This is huge.
So you can spend 6 months being miserable, right? Or you can spend 6 months putting in the work to get you to where you want to be. You know, in terms of your fitness, in terms of career, in terms of whatever it is, it's going to pass anyway. So
like I said last time, it's like you're going to suffer either way.
Choose your hard.
Yeah, you're going to suffer either way. So you might as well just fucking do the thing. Like, you might as well just actually do what
You'll
you
never
do.
regret putting the work in.
Nah.
Like career, relationships, yourself, but you never regret putting the work in, because it's the only way that you're going to get to where you want to be. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Aye.
Totally. And it's funny because we're all sitting here in a place of like, we found ourselves in like a place of like, we love our jobs, we love this, we love that. But then again, when we all sit down, like on a Monday when we meet, we're still like, oh, what could we do better? What could we do this? What could we do that? So there's never a top or a peak to this.
It never ends.
I think I will be with
There's
that.
never going
Never
to be a bin. But I thought back when I was working, when I didn't like working, and I thought, when I get the PT job and I can train clients in the morning, afternoon to myself, and it's like that, which is what I'm doing now. And then it's like, oh, now I want more, and there's always more. So I think you need to be aware of that.
As you grow and scale, your problems will change. You get different types of problems. So obviously, scaling business, you get kind of financial implications, stuff that you didn't have if you're a kind of smaller, newer business or whatever. But in terms of your physique and stuff as well, because there's always going to be a new goal, there's always going to be a new thing that you want to get.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Aye, so I think that's the thing, is that it is it's ever growing and it's always changing. There's never we spoke about this before actually, like about how it is just constant stepping stones, and I think that
so it keeps it interesting.
Yeah, the game of this, the game of life, the game of fitness, like that is. It's just like a constant game. That's what it is. There is no end point. Do you know what I mean?
That's how you grow on it.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just the same all the time, you're never going to grow. You're just going to stay in the same place in any regard. There always has to be a challenge, or there always has to be the next thing.
I agree.
Keeps it exciting.
Very profound.
Such profoundness. Too much profoundness. We normally chat a lot of shit. We've been far too serious for however long we've been doing this. Half an hour.
30 odd minutes.
30 odd minutes. Far too serious. So someone's stuck within their life, whatever. But say for example, if it comes to like their fitness, and the most common thing I'll always get is like, oh, I just don't have the motivation. Like it's a constant thing. It's a constant like repetitive conversation I'd have with whether it be clients or whether it be just general people that I'm talking to. Like, why do you think that spawns about? I'll turn this to you, Dan, because I asked them the last question. Like, why do you think that the motivation thing is the thing that most people kind of tend to struggle with?
Well, it's, again, people can't. Basically, no motivation means you can't be arsed doing it, really. And like, so no motivation, you can't be arsed. It's kind of the same thing in my eyes, right? But when you can be arsed, it's obviously going to be easy to do it, right? And it's going to be easy to do the things. But that's cool. That's because most of the time you will probably be able to, and you will be arsed, right? But if you're no motivated, it means you can't be arsed. That's when the magic happens. That's when the growth will happen. When you actually can't be arsed. So don't look
can't be arsed one more time.
Can't be arsed. So when you no motivated, right? When you're no motivated, I mean you can't be arsed, right? Do the things then.
So
right?
like
Because
doing the things when you don't want to.
Do the things you don't want to, right? So look at in a week's time, right? 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time, 4 years time. There's always going to be times where you're no motivated, can't be arsed, right? They're always going to come about. But then what happens is when you're disciplined enough, I mean, you can actually just pull yourself through and do the things when you're not. Because are you motivated all the time?
No.
Are you motivated all the time?
I'm never fucking motivated.
Right? But you still do the things, right? You still do the things that you need to do because it's always going to pay off doing the things. Because what happens when the time comes when you are motivated, when you can be asked doing them,
easy.
are you going to be happier because you've went and you've just continued? You've progressed in other aspects of your life. So the days that you can't be asked, if you still do the things, great. So I would say, regardless of how you feel motivated or no, just pick something that is tangible enough that you can actually just do it. And just do that. So even if it's just one wee step into it, just do something. Do you know what I mean? Just do something.
I think, see on that, sorry to jump in.
No, that's fine.
On that, it's like, I often find that when people have that lapse in motivation or that it isn't there, it's not that it's there just for the one session and then it comes back for the rest of the week, they're fine. It's like, I'm talking about someone that's in a constant lull, someone that's seriously like, it's just like they don't go to gym for weeks because they, as Danny quite eloquently said, can't be arsed. I often think that comes from a point of like they don't know why they're doing the things that they're doing. Like,
there's not enough clarity.
There's no clarity. There's no direction. Much the same way as that when you were back in the porta cabins, or when you were, I don't know, fucked off to Australia, like we had no clarity. So these things, there's parallels that draw between, like, I feel like life, fitness, relationships, like all of these principles that we talk about in here, and amongst all the shite that we also talk, they can all be taken into other aspects of your life. So it's like all the things that I feel like I've learned from fitness, I've now, like, in my late 20s, remember that, guys?
Still in the 20s.
Still in my 20s. Like, the things that I've learned through being in the fitness space, taking care of my health, trying to constantly get better, I've taken those principles and I'm starting to apply them into my life. And by no means, I'm not sitting here like the Dalai Lama, like, got everything fucking figured out. Like, is that even the right thing?
Dalai Lama, yeah,
whatever, right? Somebody that's got their fucking shit figured out, right? Because I don't, right? I've not got everything figured out.
Guru type,
like figure. A guru, like exactly, like a Buddha at the top of the hill. Like, I've not got everything figured out.
The top of the hill.
But what I have started to do in my most recent years is take the things that I have learned in fitness and apply them everywhere else. Things like we talk about consistency, things like we talk about having a why behind doing something, like all of these things, having goals. Like, I've always had goals in fitness, and from when I was like 15, 16, but then I'd never had any goals for my life or aspirations for my life or targets for my life, whereas now I have done that. And what you spoke on, Evan, is like reverse engineering. There was an exercise I done when I did Paul Mort's course. Shout out Paul Mort. Right? And it was like,
you love that. He always wanted to shout out in our podcast.
He always does. I know, he was messaging me the other day. Like, oh, fuck it, why you not shout us out? You got it now. So I did like there's like a 3-year vision, right? So it was like, right, in 3 years' time, don't care about the how you're going to get there just yet, right? Just write down what you want your life to look like in 3 years' time. What does it look like from a fitness standpoint? What does it look from a finance standpoint? What does it look like from a fun standpoint? There was a couple of other F's in there: fitness, fun, finance, whatever, right? Pick your things. There's like 5 or 6 different things, and you basically write down, like, what does your life look like? And it was a 25-minute exercise where you just sit down and you write, right? And that's it. You just write, and you don't stop writing. It's called the hot pen technique, and you don't stop writing until the 25 minutes is up.
Do you write?
My hand was like, right, all cramped up. I've never written that much since school. I forgot how to write with a pen because I'm normally just typing shit. And then after I done it, I was like, whoa, fucking lot of shit is on this paper. And it's like, right, okay, what does that look like in 1 year, right? So in 1 year time, how do you know you're closer to that? Right, okay. Write it all down, right, okay. How do you know you're in that in 6 months, 3 months, 4 weeks? And you break it all the way down like that. And then so you've just chunked everything down. So you've wrote down what you want in 3 years, and then you've just wrote down all the way back into 1 week how you're going to get there. And it's a bit of a long-winded exercise, but for me, it gave me like complete focus.
Clarity.
Complete clarity to know, right, I know what the fuck I want to do now. And the how, the why doesn't really matter just now. It's more like, right, what are you going for? We can figure out how to do it as we go.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
No, that's
bang on.
It makes so much sense to do. But I think you mentioned fun as well, and just to kind of touch back on motivation and stuff. I think people get too caught up in the kind of hamster wheel of like work in whatever. And obviously we do need to work and whatever, and that's absolutely fine. But then they'll maybe go out and get hammered on a Friday or a Saturday night. They'll be low on energy on Sunday and then back into work and stuff, right? But basically the kind of point I'm making is I think people struggle with motivation because they're really not giving their social battery a chance to recharge, or they're doing tasks that take energy from them rather than tasks that actually give them energy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's somebody, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said that your choices will either give you life or take life away from you.
Yes.
So if you think about it that way, so are you putting yourself into an early grave? I know it's a bit morbid, or are you creating a kind of better quality life for yourself?
This is the thing, like working out and things like that, and training, it doesn't have to drain energy from you, drain life from you. Training should, for most people, for general pop, should give you life, should give you a bit of a buzz, should give you like, there's people that I train in the mornings that when they train with me at 6 or 7 in the morning, they're like that. But they're like that. The rest of their day is fucking so much better because they've just managed to be like, they've tackled the hardest part of their day already. The rest of their day is an absolute
ate the frog.
They've ate the frog. The rest of their day is a complete fucking doddle because they've done something that's ultimately given them energy.
Well, energy breeds energy, doesn't it? So you sit in your ass all the time.
You can't be asked.
You can't be asked, and then all of a sudden you start doing stuff.
Put in quotes, Danny, can't be asked.
It's true. But you know what I mean? The more you do, the more you move and stuff like that. You do, you feel fucking.
I genuinely think, I was talking to this about a client the other day, that like activity and action just trumps everything.
Yeah.
It trumps everything. Like, say for example, you look at an old person, right? Again, we're gonna get quite morbid again, but you look at an old person.
It's a sad podcast.
It's a sad podcast. You know, but you fucking lighten up in a minute. But you look at an old person, right, that's in their 70s or 80s, but since they've been 40 years old, they've not done anything. They don't really walk much. They've not really got many friends. They don't have any tasks that they kind of do week to week. And
sad old person
just sitting there, all frail, struggling to stand up, sit down, all the rest.
Smelling a pee.
It's not like whatever. Like, but then you get someone else. So, say for example, my gran. Shout out, Gran. I don't know if she knows how to work the podcast space. I don't think she knows what a podcast is. Right, but shout out, Gran. She's such an inspiration. I'm not gonna lie. She's fucking phenomenal. She is up and out every single day. She wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning every morning. She has her porridge. She goes to dance. She goes to a dance club. She's got pals she meets. She goes to the shops all the time. She's just so independent. Brilliant. Like, it's so fucking cool to see. And she's always so happy to see me. And like, she's just independent at like such. She's like in her 80s. Like, it's crazy to see. And it's like, I want to be like that when I'm older. But it's because she's constantly doing shit.
Yeah.
And I think that also boils down to like, well, life or fitness or whatever. Like, if you just sit there and stew, sit on the couch, nothing's going to come of that. Like, you actually, like, activity just fucking, it trumps all. Like, so whether we take action and start this podcast instead of talking about it for a year, take action and start that online business instead of just thinking about it for a year, like, or make that YouTube video or start speaking on camera, like doing all these things, it's it. I think that is the answer.
See, the thing is as well, what's the worst that can happen?
Totally.
Like, you make yourself look like a tit, somebody says no, whatever.
It just goes back to that mindset you can get in your head with stuff.
Yeah.
And you can make something feel like a bigger deal and like it's a lot worse than it is and stuff like that. And then actually in reality, when you date, you're like, fucking hell, that was brand new.
And see, the thing, my brain's not working.
Brain.
I'm quite open.
Caffeine.
I'm quite open about speaking about my anxiety and stuff. Right? And I do go through periods, but it's really, really, really bad.
Do you still feel like you lapse in and out of that sometimes?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Just various wee things, bits and bobs, trigger me and whatever. And that's absolutely fine. And that's obviously a battle and stuff that I need to deal with and whatever. But I used to be so fixated on what people thought of me. So see, right throughout my youth, I was so worried about what their opinions were of me, brain. And but see, one day, literally nothing happened. It just clicked, and I just don't give a fuck about what other people think.
Aye.
And see, as soon as you stop caring what people who really don't matter care, like what they think about you, everything gets easier.
It's pretty freeing.
Everything.
I heard a thing, and it was, I can't actually remember who said it. It was like, in your 20s, you worry about what everybody else thinks of you, and then like in your 40s, it's like you don't really care about what anybody thinks of you, and then in your 60s, you then realise nobody was thinking about you in the first place.
Yeah.
So like it's just elements on. It's like we've maybe just matured through that a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And it's like most of the time, like by the end of it, everybody was already thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
So like we're all thinking about ourselves, thinking about other people thinking about us. And it's like, oh fuck, what's happening here? Then when you go and think, right, you know what? Who cares what people think, right? You have this fuck you attitude and whatever. But fundamentally, nobody really actually cares.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're too busy thinking about themselves, which is absolutely fine. It's the way the thing should be, but you can't let that hold you back.
No. Yeah. I say this to everybody in the Reshape team. I've said it a million times. Anybody comes to me like, they're maybe like, I'm a bit unsure about certain areas of the gym. I don't know if I like to get and train in the gym, even if I've been training at home. And I'm like, remember, everybody in that gym is more concerned about what people think of them. So they're not like, because think about it, when people get in a gym, they're like, I'm worried that people are judging me on the type of exercises I'm doing, or if I'm doing it wrong, or what I look like, or I'm like that. But everybody else will be thinking the exact same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, these looking at MD thinking that they're too concerned about.
They all can't be asked as well.
I can't, but can't be asked. So I
Class.
No, it's true.
Wrap that up.
Yeah, man, that's a bit too serious, wasn't it?
Yeah, next one will be fun.
I know.
We need to do this. We need to show that we're serious fitness professionals.
I know there has been too much fucking about.
There was tinfoil hats.
tinfoil.
That's
We
what
did, I
mean.
know, but those ones probably got the most engagement and the most fun came out of them. Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
Here's
Awesome.
to love.
You're still on it.
I'm not
No, you
gonna
can't
say
say it.
it.
Can't
And
say
we're
it.
not going to finish
Not
that
gonna
last
say
bit.
No. Thanks to our sponsors. Wait, did they drop out?
No. The payments just not come through yet.
Has it not come through
No,
yet?
not
Okay, I'm
yet.
not going to shout them out.
Don't shout them out.
If you want to sponsor the podcast, we'd be open to that.
You would be.
We need to pay, things like Ringo,
Yep.
pay producer Paul,
Yep.
and
Petrol money.
pay for
Coff-
coffees in the way
Caffeine.
Caffeine.
Cakes occasionally,
Snackos.
most of the time.
Yeah, so if you want to sponsor, just email Evan and he'll sort it out.
Right. See you later.
Peace.
Peace.